right, everyone. Welcome back to the Fantasy Crossover podcast. I am your co-host Daniel Duarte, joined here with my co-host Brian Acevedo. Last time you saw us, we did a 10-team fantasy mock draft. It's category leagues in the Yahoo Fantasy app. Today, we're going to be doing a 12-team category mock salary cap draft on the Yahoo app. In Yahoo, by the way, we're doing head-to-head, just as a clarification for everyone, just if in case you're confused about if it's head-to-head or roto. And Yahoo, they have different, levels, tiers to this. So right now we're doing a pro one. And yeah, we're about to get into it. It starts in 23 seconds. Brian, do you have anything to say to the audience or any points?
Well, we're actually on ESPN. I think you said Yahoo there, but
Oh,
yeah,
my bad. Yeah,
yeah, no,
clearly,
you're
like the screen says ESPN. For our listeners, we're on ESPN for this mock draft, the
Oh
salary
yeah,
cap
no.
mock draft.
Basically, from the looks of it, we're playing with one other human. The rest are going to be computers, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how the CPUs play. We did sign up for a pro league, which is, I guess, a step up from beginner. We're going to go ahead and enter the draft room now. I would say main strategy going in, you only have $200 to spend, so it's a little different than a snake draft where you just get the next pick. This is going to be somewhere where you want to focus on budgeting your money correctly because the last thing you want to do is spend all your money on three players and then have to settle for $1 picks the rest of the way. So my main priority is going to be to make Danny and the computers spend as much of their budget on players that I don't want as possible. I think that's like my main strategy going into it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good tip. Again, it's you versus everyone else to see who uses up the most money. Oh, I ironically have the first pick. By the way, draft position in mock or in salary cap drafts doesn't matter as much because with salary cap drafts, essentially you're just nominating a player. You don't pick right. You don't pick first, or essentially like you don't get that player right away. You're just nominating a player that you'd like to bid on, and ultimately the person that bids the highest amount on that player is the person that gets them. So there is a little bit of strategy to what position you're in initially, but it's not necessarily make or break. And to Brian's original point, you definitely want to make your opponents use up a lot of money. You might want to go for players that are a little bit controversial with their current status. So possibly players that are undecided about the vaccine or that are injury prone and we don't know the timeline for them, i.e., a Klay Thompson or Jonathan Isaac, or even a Yusuf Nurkic who's healthy but has had injury concerns in the past. You might want to nominate them, try to get the bids up a little bit higher, and then someone else can take a flyer on him unless you really want that player. And sure enough, you've made another team use some of their salary.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. One of the other things to be careful of, once you get down to the last few picks where everybody's just bidding, a couple dollars, make sure that if you nominate a player, you make sure it's someone that you're comfortable with having on your roster. It's happened to me before where I've nominated a player for $1, no other team bids on him, and then I end up getting stuck with him. And so that's just something to kind of keep in mind in the last few rounds. But I really prefer the salary cap / auction. I think it's more strategic. I think you have to really know your stuff when it comes to this because you don't want to be left with no money at the end of the draft. And honestly, you realize how much money is spent on the first few players that there's a lot of guys that could be great values at like $5 to $10 that you just don't have that money to give a high enough bid on those guys. So it's going to be fun. Draft starting in a few seconds. So I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, and for our listeners on the podcast, I am sharing my screen.
Welcome to the best
We'll
day of the
try
year,
our best to recap.
draft day.
I thought I put the sound off. I guess not.
That might be my
Uh,
sound. Actually, I'll turn that off.
okay, it's in the top right.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, so we'll try to recap each pick as much as we can. First off, guys, I'm just gonna go ahead nominate Nikola Jokic. I'm gonna nominate him for $1. Again, typically you want to start low with the bids and work your way up, unless you're really trying to screw someone.
and
And the computer right away has just bumped it up until
wow.
$78. $81 is the current bid right now for Nikola Jokic. His current value is $77. It looks like a computer team is going to draft him at $83. Pretty wild stuff.
Too rich for my blood, man. No way. I had him at like 75, 80 was max. No way I'm putting that much. Looks like Giannis is number 2 to be nominated. We're gonna wait and see kind
He's
of where we
already up to 74 dollars. He's already bidding. Again, we're drafting with computers, so it might be a little bit unrealistic with just how aggressive some of these first bids are going off the board. But Giannis is about to fly off the board at $77.
All right, and now we have Team Davis, the other human that we're playing with. We'll see where his head's at and where his strategy's at. Let's see. We got some guys like Luca on the board still, Harden, Cat, Bradley Beal, Lillard, Curry, Durant. I think it'll be one of those guys coming up
It's
next.
it's crazy that Beal has a higher, I guess, salary than someone like Dame Lillard,
Yeah.
PG, Steph Curry, even Kevin Durant. It's crazy. All right, so Luka Doncic is up for nomination. Current bid is skyrocketing. We're in the 40s. I'll give it a couple seconds just as it builds its way up. Looks like we're going to be at 69.71 is the current bid. Luka
Wow.
Doncic
It's too
is going for
rich.
$70.
It's too rich. I'm not ready for that.
But for some people, it's worth it. Like for some people, a $70 on a Luka Doncic is definitely worth it. So again, it just depends on what kind of team you're trying to build. If you really do want one of those top 5 to 10 guys on your roster, and what categories are going to be your focal point in this draft. So right now we have Brian nominating. He's nominated the beard at $1. Let's see how the bids skyrocket in a couple seconds.
Jeez. A couple seconds is right. It's, within 2 seconds, it goes from $1 to $70. It's kind of incredible.
All
Harden
right,
looking
so
like
the
he's a little
beard
more valuable than Luca here so far.
the beard is at $74. To Brian's point, he's a little bit more valuable than Luca. Definitely a lot more well-rounded. So just to recap, right now we have Jokic first, then Giannis, then Luca, then Harden. Currently, Cat's up for nomination. The bids are already skyrocketing once again. Cat is
Jeez.
currently going for 70, 73, $74. So it looks like the computer's getting a little bit aggressive with the teams that don't have a player just yet, trying to
Yep.
get one of these top 10 players.
Yep. Wow, this is crazy to watch, man. It is crazy. You really have to come in and have a set number almost in mind for some of these top guys of how much you're willing to spend on them before they come up. And we have Bradley Beal, $68. I mean, that's too rich for me. I love Beal, but there's just a lot of question marks there. I'm not willing to invest that much of my budget onto him, unfortunately.
All
Damian
right,
Lillard.
Damian Lillard.
Yep. Next
So,
up.
uh, yeah, unfortunately, with the computer, it seems like. Oh, and I just realized Davis is now a computer. But it seems like with most of these computer picks, again, they're just going to try to get one of these top guys. The computer, from what I've seen, typically the pattern is they try to spend as much of their budget right away. So the computer, if especially if you do have an auction or a draft where someone is, away for a second, the computer may just start going crazy with their bids. I know that's happened to me a couple times with some of my friends.
Wow. I mean, you can't even
So
put an offer
Lillard went for
in.
$70. Curry, she's at 70 as well, man. Like it's insane.
I think I put 69 on Curry. I think I might get him. Oh, wow. Wow. Duarte with the steal at 70. Ooh. Ooh. That's I'm going to let you have him. I'm going to let you have him. Go ahead.
All right. I really wanted a 3-point shooter. I need a well-rounded guy. And it's something that I've learned. It's always great to have one of those, top guys,
Yeah.
top 10 players.
Let's see here. Tatum is next. He's at $65 already. Oof. Let's see. Honestly, guys, sometimes it does
Tatum's
pay off to be a little bit more conservative. I do agree with having at least one of the top guys, but generally speaking, from there, if you don't get one of the top guys, it may be best off to just kind of wait a little bit and let some of these other teams spend a lot of that budget first. We have Nikola
It's
Vucevic
something to
now.
note, guys. there's like this really fine balance between going a little bit aggressive on certain players and also being conservative in other areas. The last thing you want to do is end a draft with a lot of money left over. So just
Correct.
keep that in mind as you do your draft, because again, you don't want to be stuck with like $30 at the end of the draft, because that means you didn't budget properly. But at the same time, you don't want to have $12 left and have like I don't know, like how many players is this? Like you don't want to have like three players drafted with $12 left and you can only spend $1 on the rest of your squad. Like you have to just it's a fine line. Paul
Paul
George,
George.
I thought you would have taken him, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend that much on Paul George. I really am trying to stay disciplined here to a certain number with each player, and I mean, if the value, if I feel it's not there, I'm not going to push for it. I'm curious to see how these CPUs are going to spend their money now. Zion's at over $60. He's obviously another guy I really like, but there's certain categories like blocks, like defensive numbers, where I don't love what I have from Zion. I don't know if I want to spend that much of my budget on him.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna I have 17 seconds. I'm just curious. I want to see the value of some of these players, because the CPU doesn't let us think. As you guys can see, the top guys they go for a lot, and then it starts to get a little bit more fair. Let me just go ahead and nominate Durant. Let's see how the budget is for other teams. It looks like it's mainly just Brian and Team 12 that have $200 left. Everyone else is kind of hovering around that 130, 140 range. Durant's going for
I'm
$60.
just
That
kind
might
of
be a
playing it.
steal.
Yep, I'm
Oof.
playing it coy here. I'm just kind of waiting to see how the CPU reacts because I think if I can get KD in this range, I'm a happy
That's a
man.
great
And it
value.
does.
Good stuff, man.
Yep. And sometimes, like I said, guys, it pays off. There were other guys I would have liked. I would have liked Curry. I would have liked Paul George, but I didn't love the value. And I basically the way I saw it is I saved $10 and I got the best player in the world. Happy birthday, KD! By the way, we are recording on Wednesday the 29th.
LeBron's going for $50. This is insane.
Oh man, jeez, this
I
is.
love him. He's my favorite player, or well, one of them. But I don't think his value's there.
I agree, man.
Yeah,
And you know what's
De'Aaron
funny?
Fox too. Like
Yep.
in the 50s. That's crazy to me.
I was about to tell you that in the original draft on Yahoo, I think I got De'Aaron Fox in like the fifth or sixth round, and here he is going as one of the top, basically one of the top 20 players. I'm not touching. I
Yeah,
love De'Aaron
so
Fox. I think he's gonna have a breakout year, but I think anything over $50 for De'Aaron Fox, I don't know if it's the wisest investment. There's still a lot of talent left on the board.
something else to note that Brian brought up that's a great point. Depending on whatever platform you're drafting, whether it be Yahoo or ESPN or maybe some other platform that I'm unaware of, these companies they rank players differently. I don't necessarily know again the metrics that they use or the assumptions, but again, De'Aaron Fox could have easily been drafted in the fifth round in Yahoo, but ESPN's showing him essentially as a second round pick. So it's very interesting how that works.
It's
Man, I think
crazy.
Joel Embiid's gonna have a beast of a year, man.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid was a steal last year. Again, the injury concerns is the biggest thing for me, man. I've yet to see him really put together a full season. Even last year, MVP caliber season, but he still missed a stretch. If I'm going to invest $50 plus, I want to try to mitigate my risk as much as possible. And now we
By
have
the way,
Fred
as you guys
VanVleet.
can see, just as we're wrapping up, we're in pick number 17. I'd say that there's probably like about 20, 25 players that are above $40 that people typically spend on. So that's just something to note. Fred Van Vliet for $50 is insane to me, man.
We have the controversial Trey Young now up, projected at 52. Let's see where the CPU. I think this is kind of that territory where guys start to kind of slip under their actual value. Let's see. Well, no, maybe not. CPU is offered
No,
above
not
now,
yet.
54.
Until all the CPUs have had at least two players, like then the values will still continue to be a little bit high. Because
So
remember, there's one CPU right now that has $200 left.
Yep, and to the contrary of that, team number 7 has $18 left. They spent $70 on Luca, $58 on Vucevic, and $54 on Embiid. They have $18 left to fill out an additional, basically 10 spots. So again, there's two different ways you can go kind of top heavy. I prefer to balance it out because, like I said, there's just so much talent. I don't necessarily agree with Team 7 strategy of going top heavy. As much as I like Luka, Embiid, and Vucevic, I don't know if I want to spend basically 75% of my budget on those three players.
Yeah, and to Brian's point, we have three teams now that are under $30 left to draft their entire team.
Crazy.
Now that's great for these teams. Like they clearly have their guys. Like those guys are going to be beasts the entire year. But I'm a big believer of just mitigating and spreading out your risk. Because think about it, if one of those guys gets injured, possibly goes down for the entire season, it's going to be harder to pick up that value on the waiver wires compared to some of these other guys. So again,
So,
these are
like,
just all factors you have to weigh in on option drafts.
and a quick
Sorry, Brian.
recap for those of you listening to audio: Sabonis went for $47, Donovan Mitchell for 51, AD just went off the board at 41. Obviously, we have AD ranked pretty high in our fantasy rankings. I'm still a little concerned about the injuries there. It's something you have to take into consideration. And now we have Julius Randle going up of the New York Knicks. Interesting to see where his value lies. He is looking like he is in that 39 to 40 range. I want to see who I'm bidding against here. 41. Wow, someone really wants Julius Randle here.
Yeah, but that team's going to be left with
41.
$30 left after that.
I'll let him have
Let
Julius.
that sink
I
in.
would love Randle, but I'm gonna let him have Julius at 41. That's a little higher than I would like. And now we have Lamella Ball. Let's see where Lamelo lands, man. This is gonna be a high bid. I take it.
Yeah, so
Oh
Lamelo
boy.
Ball is projected for $38. His bid's already at 40.
Jeez.
That's crazy, man.
Let's see.
I think Lamelo is going to have a great year. I believe that I need to see 2 years of a player being great just to like really have a fair evaluation of them. But again, I think overall he's set to have a really good breakout year.
And I did go ahead and I took LaMelo at $42. I felt like that was a good value. He's got a high ceiling. I think year 2 is going to be big for him. Now we have Rudy Gobert, one of the more consistent fantasy players. Let's see where he ends up. I'm down to, and just like that, I have two players and I'm down to $97. I spent half my budget basically on two guys. So this is where I'm going to get a little bit more conservative now. I'm really going to watch what I spend because I don't want to miss on one of these guys that's $35 and then come to regret it because there's going to be some value later on in the draft for sure.
Man, this team 10 is just ugh.
Very, very just bidding. Look at that. $40 for Rudy Gobert. Wow.
That team 10's left with $18. I wanted him. I really, really wanted him, but sometimes you just have to hedge your bets.
Yeah. And
All right.
Danny's playing it pretty conservatively. He's only got Curry and he has the fourth most money left of all 12 teams. So he's playing it well so far. Let's see if he finds a guy that he nominates that maybe he has an eye on. And he going with Shea. Wow. Shea Gilgis Alexander's field goal percentage last year still blows my mind. Over 50% as a guard. That's not easy.
He's still projected to go around that.
Yeah. Man, this bidding just creeps up. It was at 25. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good deal. Now I'm like, oh, $30 for Shea. That's not bad. That's not bad. And clearly a couple of the CPUs and Danny think the same way.
So this is what
Oh,
I'm. Sometimes it's a risky strategy, but sometimes you just drive the bid up. I know this other team wants him. I'm trying to drive the bid up a little bit, and you know what? Just like that, I get Shea at $32. He's a little bit under what his budget was. I'm a happy camper.
I agree. I think it was a good value. I think it was a really good value. And then here's another guy who went in the fifth, sixth round on Yahoo that is already at $30. DeJounte Murray. Crazy. $30.
And
Wow.
something for everyone to note here, by the way, it's very important if you see certain players that can be, multiple positions. That's great to just keep in mind.
Yeah.
So Shea's a shooting guard, point guard. Jimmy Butler right now, who's being nominated, is a small forward shooting guard. So again, these are just great little things and little nuggets to know.
Absolutely, absolutely. The flexibility is really really important in a fantasy league. Let's see. Wow, we're really down to a couple teams that only have $18. A couple teams are under $30, and we still have quite a few picks left. It's amazing. Let's see. Ooh, $34 for Jimmy. I think I let him run with that. Team Duarte, another homer pick. There it is, guys. No surprise. No surprise.
Just to recap, guys, Shea went for $32, DeJounte Murray went for $32, and Jimmy Butler just went for $34.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just keep the Miami Heat trend going. I'm gonna nominate Bam Adebayo next. Let's see how much we can get Danny to spend, guys. Let's see.
Bam added by you. There's a
And this
team
guy's a top
that still
20
has two
player,
hundred
man.
dollars.
He's a top 20 player. Yeah, no, Team 12 still has 200. So you know what Team 12 is going to do? I've actually, not to toot my horn, I've actually done quite a few of these mock drafts on ESPN now with salary cap. Team 12 is going to wait till almost the very end to start using their money, and then they're going to outbid you for just about everybody. So because they know they can. It's an interesting
All
strategy.
right. Bam went for $31, everyone. Now we have Ben Simmons nominated. He is currently going for $24. I don't know if the CPU is bidding if they kind of factor these variables in. That's still to be determined. But Ben Simmons went for
Well,
$23.
it did say on the 2022 projected that he was projected to play 76 games. So obviously, I think that may have a factor. But yeah, I'm just curious to see at this point when Team 12 is going to spend some money. I haven't even seen them bid on a player at this point.
All right, right now we have Chris Paul going up for nomination, currently valued at $26. I think that's a great deal, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good deal. This is where you're going to start to find some steals.
Drew
I'm very
Holiday.
I'm very curious to see Kyrie is coming up on that list. MPJ is coming up on that list. Russell Westbrook. Those are three guys that I'm very curious to see. I think they may be some of the highest bids like available. After that, I think it'll start to decline a little bit.
So Drew Holiday right now is going for $32. Drew's a really good pick. A lot of people just his stats just don't pop out, but overall his value is very very underappreciated.
Absolutely.
All right, next we have Kyrie Irving.
Let's see. Let's see where he goes. He is in the 30s. Let's see if it ticks up a little bit. 32. I mean, look, with Kyrie Irving, you have the questions, but I'll be honest with you, Dan. I think at the end of the day, he's going to get the vaccine. I think he understands the reality of the situation. He's playing with Katie and Harden. They have a chance to win a championship. He's making $400,000 per game. I don't think he's going to sacrifice it for for his COVID stance. I think before the season starts, that's my prediction. Kyrie will get vaccinated, but hey, maybe I'm wrong and maybe $32 was too much to spend if that's the case.
Kyrie went for 32. Russell Westbrook just went for 26, which to me is actually a good bargain for Westbrook.
I
You're
agree.
essentially getting a guy that's a triple double for $20. Great, great value. Next, we have Michael Porter Jr. It did come out that he is not going to get the vaccine. It remains to be seen if Denver might be one of those cities that enacts a vaccine mandate. But for the time being, MPJ is not vaccinated. And he
Okay.
just went for $24. Great value as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So right now, guys, we are kind of in that value range where you're gonna see guys going for $20 that you're like, man, that guy's gonna perform really well. Like just overall great value. And yeah, that's exactly it. Like that's why you want to save a bit of your money for these picks. Right now we have Clint Capella. He's going for $24. Man, Capella's a beast.
You know what I noticed? Zach Levine, his average projected is $18 on Yahoo. I'm pretty sure he was like a third or fourth round pick.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a matter of again, this website has even Ball ranked higher than Levine, which is kind of crazy. Clint Capella went for $23 just to keep everyone up to date. Now Devin Booker's up for nomination, and it looks like he's going to go for $22. To recap to everyone, at this point, every team with the exception of Team 12 is under $100. Team 12 still has 145, so they did already spend some of that money from that $200 range. But yeah, they still lead quite the way. Next up, I'm nominating. I'm just gonna see who I can nominate. Let's get. I'm gonna get a little bit wild with this. I'm gonna nominate. Oh well, I ran out of time, so never mind. I nominated
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton.
Well, I know I said on the last draft that I'm not high on DeAndre Ayton, but obviously in a salary cap draft, I'm going to keep an eye on where he goes because I think this could be a good value for him. There's not really another great big for a little while, so I think I'm going to get in there and see if I can sneak away with a pretty good big. Because after that, I mean, you're looking at the value bigs, so I'm going to go ahead and take Ayton.
Good
$26.
pick. Good pick.
Let's see. And it leaves me still with $71 to spend to fill out the rest of the roster. So I felt pretty good about that. Like I said in the last episode, bigs are a premium. So if you can find one, definitely got to go out in there and get one.
Levine's gonna go for $20. That's insane.
Yeah, I'm not letting it go for 19. There's no way. I had to bid on him just because that was too good of a price. There was just no way to allow him to walk. And you know what? I'm okay with that. $20. I mean, this guy was a top 20 player in fantasy last year. I mean, I know he's got DeRozan and Lonzo and all that now, but I mean, $20 I think that's worth the investment.
Next, we have Tobias Harris. He's currently going for $26. Let's see where the bid ends up.
Let's see. $26. Pretty good. Pretty good. Going to be curious to see what happens with Tobias in Philly. It does obviously look like Ben Simmons is going to be gone. So, depending on who they bring back in a potential trade, how that affects Tobias, that's a reason that I've kind of strayed away from him. I know he's been pretty consistent, but you just never know. It could definitely affect his role. I'm going to go ahead and nominate
All
a
right,
big
Brian.
here. I'm going to nominate a
Ooh,
big, and my
Christian Wood.
reasoning for that strategy, I'm nominating Christian Wood, is because I already have the center that I wanted. Obviously, I could put Christian Wood at the 4, but I had him last year. It's a little injury prone, and I'm also a little concerned about Houston at the end of the season with the potential, tanking. We'll see how it goes in Houston, and obviously he'll be their number one player, but I think there's some great values with the Rockets that you can get without having to spend $20.
All right, and just like that, Christian Wood went for $20.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton's up next. Chris Middleton is just an all-around really good stat grabber. Now, the issue with him, which Brian pointed out in our fantasy rankings, is he doesn't contribute much on the defensive side. So that's just something to note. But overall, great field goal percentage, great points, great rebounds. Just a solid player. He's gonna go off the board for $20.
Yeah, I had him last year. He's really well rounded. He does a little bit of everything. Honestly, it's pretty impressive.
Jalen Brown's next. I love Jalen Brown's game. He's the number two. I'd like to call him the 1B to Jason Tatum's 1A more so than the number two. He is currently going for $20, and he's projected to have another really good year, possibly another All Star ballot.
No,
Just like
absolutely.
that, $20. Next is Lonzo. Lonzo Ball. He's projected his. They're saying that his assist numbers are going to go way up in Chicago. That'll be interesting to see. And it looks like he's probably going to go for $20. Well, $19.
Yeah, again, you got to consider his role, what the team's going to look like. That was a risk that I took with Zach LaVine as well. You just don't know what they're going to look like with all these new pieces they added. So there may be a little bit of a learning curve, but ultimately, these are still good players at the end of the day.
Next, we have
One more.
Ja Morant, another
Very controversial.
controversial player.
Very controversial, John Morant. Oh, man. Here we go. Let's see how much teams are willing to spend on this guy. $16 is the bet right now. I mean, it's a good value. If he takes a step in the right direction, efficiency wise, I think that's a good pickup for Team 3 at $16. Bi Brandon
Next up,
Ingram.
we have Brandon
I
Ingram.
yeah, there's another player that I had last year. He's really well rounded. I'm curious to see what it looks like in New Orleans now. It doesn't feel like they have a true point guard there anymore. So I'm curious to see if he takes on some more ball handling responsibility. I already have a guy in mind that I'm going to use with my next pick to kind of help fill out my categories. I'm just waiting to kind of see how the rest of this. I'm really keeping an eye. ESPN has a little budgets tab that lets you kind of keep an eye on what the maximum offer a team can make based off how much money they have. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that to make sure that I stay at a good pace and I can pretty much outbid most teams except for Team 12 that has only picked two players, Kyrie and Capella. So an interesting duo there to start out with.
So I just drafted Brandon Ingram, FYI, for everyone for $16. Karis LeVert just came off the board for $15. Next up, we have DeMar DeRozan, who's projected to be at $15. Again, Chicago, it's going to be a really interesting team overall with so many acquisitions this offseason.
Yeah, they got a lot going on in Chicago. But as you can see, a lot of interest in Chicago's players. There's going to be another guy that's close to the 20 range, maybe, or nope, looks like he'll be at 16.
Team 12 got him for 16.
Oh, well, good value
Colin
for
Sexton.
another controversial one here. Really good for points
I,
leagues. Colin Sexton, again, the big concern with him is how well rounded is he going to give you statistics on. But at the end of the day, he's going to get you points. He's an efficient scorer. He can hit the three. He's actually pretty good with steals also. And it looks like he's going to go at $13.
All right, my turn to nominate. I am not gonna waste this bid this time. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. I definitely want to see other people's takes on certain players. So right off the bat, I have 10 seconds left. I'm gonna go ahead and nominate. I just saw him, Devontae Graham. Oh,
Wow,
there we
Devonte
go.
Graham. You guys, just so for those of you listening, we have C.J. McCollum, Terry Rozier, Nurkic, Pascal Siakam, Anthony Edwards, Halliburton, and Danny decided to nominate Devonte Graham. Very interesting strategy to kind of see where the CPU's heads at, and does not look like they're biting much. Danny got kind of lucky that they didn't, but $3 is what Devonte Graham went for.
You know what? And I'll take it because sometimes that strategy can work where it's a guy you really want. Just go ahead and nominate him. Sometimes some people won't, go out of their way to put any money down. All right,
Agreed.
next we
No,
have
agreed.
CJ McCollum. $14 is a bid. Man, Team 12, I don't know what their strategy is because they have a lot of guards. They just keep bidding there. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably going to get him to $14.
Wow.
And he did.
DeRozan, McCollum, yeah. Really got they need some wings. They need a
Montrezl Harrell.
oh, this is an interesting one. I don't even think did he even get drafted in our last episode?
Nope.
Wow. And ESPN, just so everybody knows, has him going at $14 in a salary cap auction draft. I think that's way too high. I mean, I know he was coming off 2 years removed off that six man of the year, but I don't know. Based off what we saw from him last year, I know he's in a new
He went
role
for
in Washington, but
$14.
yeah, that's a
All
lot.
right, Brian.
That's a lot of bread.
I think you should nominate another controversial player.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna throw up Anthony Edwards. Let's see. Let's see what teams are willing to spend for him. I find that curious myself. 4, 6, 7. Okay, so there's some interest there. We're watching it tick up. Let's see. $10 is where he's going at right now. Again, I didn't really have interest in Anthony Edwards at this point, just based off the way my roster's constructed. I just kind of want to see, hey, let me make these teams spend some money here.
Scary
Okay.
Terry, man. I did not expect him to have the year that he had last year, which was amazing. But yeah, let's see if his value holds. He's currently going for $12.
Let's see. Let's see.
By the way, so just so I'm clear, Gordon Hayward, like he didn't even go yet. Gordon Hayward is like one of the further down ranked Hornets, and it's crazy because he's the one making the most money and kind of supposed to be their star. So again, it's
It
just
is.
weird how some of these systems nominate and value players. So Scary Terry went for $13. Pascal Siakam's on the board right now. He's going for 11. If to be honest, guys, if I had to rank Raptors in terms of importance, I would probably say Fred VanVleet's number one. Number two would be OG Anunoby for me.
Agreed. Agreed. And while some of these picks are going on of guys that I'm not really looking at, I'm actually going into my roster. I'm looking at, what are their stats? What are some categories that I need work on? Because these next few picks I think are going to be really important as far as allocating the right amount of money towards the right amount of categories and making sure that you get your best value, best bang for your buck here.
Nurkic just went for $12. So
$12.
if he has a breakout year, man, like if he has a good year again, he's money. Next we have
Agreed.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, let's see what happens here with Draymond. He's currently at $10, and now he is at 11. Let's see if that continues to go up. Seems like he'll go at the same price that Siakam went. And this is the guy that I wanted from the beginning. Draymond Green at $11. I needed a power forward. He gets you steals, he gets you rebounds, he gets you assists. Not the best shooter, but when you have KD and Zach LaVine, I mean, it's not necessarily something that I'll need. I feel pretty good going in with Lamella and Draymond Green to round out a lot of assists and rebounds.
Next we have Yaakov Purdle. He's gonna go for $9. Great value in my opinion.
Yeah, Team 12.
Next
Team
we
12
have
strategy is kind of paying off.
Tyrese Halliburton.
It's a good one. Let's see. What do I need? I'm looking at my roster now. I'm kind of assessing what's kind of the next priority for me here. Let's see. Boy.
Tyrese Halliburton just came off the board for $8. Next, we have Kyle Lowry. It'll be interesting how he's incorporated into this Miami Heat roster. I really don't know where his value is going to be at, to be quite honest, even as a Heat fan. I know you get tenacity. I know you get like good leadership, but just in terms of meshing with the offense, I don't know how his points and assists kind of pay off.
Agreed. It's a risk. It's a gamble. It's a little bit of a gamble. $7. I mean, I think it's worth it at that rate.
Jalen Suggs.
Wow. Early.
What's his value at? I'm just curious. Jalen Suggs is valued at $8. He's about to go for $7. I think that's, and some of these projections are pretty high. He's projected to have 16 points per game, 5 assists, and 1.5 steals. Man, ESPN is very, very bullish on Jalen Suggs.
Very much so.
He might have a great year, man. So, it's just something to keep an eye on.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We're seeing here. See where Danny goes, guys, as far as his next pickup. There's so many good players left, by the way, guys. So many players we have not even discussed. We got OG, we got Wiggins, we have Porzingis, Jeremy Grant, Brogdon, Jared Allen, Robert Williams. I mean, just a lot of talent left. That's why sometimes it does pay off to, not use all that money at once. Miles Turner, $3 right now. Value. Danny said, no, I'm not allowing him to go for $3. I want him for $4. Does anyone say 5? I'm going with 5. Why not?
Led the Why are you this way?
Year. Why not?
I hate you so much. Just let me have my play.
Let's remind Danny of what happened the other day with Nerlens Noel. We don't forget, guys. We don't forget. Miles Turner at $7, going once, going twice. Oh, you know what, Danny? I did exactly what I wanted to do. I drove up his price about $5. I will let you have him at that price. Actually, no, I know you need a center, so I'm going to make you pay a little bit more.
That's fine.
Look at that strategy, guys. That is paying off. And Danny went ahead and let me have him for $9. Look at that.
Hey, this man, is the guy that I want, guys.
He hits threes. He blocks. Injury prone a bit, but listen, he's going into training camp fully healthy this year, and this is a guy that's led the NBA in blocks 2 out of the last 3 years. To get him at $9, I'll take it for that category. And I think Danny's going to bid on Robert Williams here, if I'm not mistaken, because he still needs a center. And I'm very tempted to bid up on him as well, but I'm going to let him have this one.
Oh, you're so kind.
Ooh, maximum Derrick White. Let's see how this one goes.
Shout out, shout out to Josh Lloyd for anyone that doesn't pick up
Absolutely.
that reference.
This could be a big year for Derrick White. No more DeMar DeRozan. If this guy can stay healthy, I just don't love. I don't know. His stats are not that well rounded. Unfortunately, that's my biggest concern with him. But at $8, it's a good deal
I
for a
want like
team.
how do I see my team stats? I'm just curious. I don't even know how to do
So
this.
you have to go in and actually click on each player, which kind of sucks because it takes time,
Oh,
and
that's
you only have
oh,
16 seconds per. I'm gonna go
you
ahead and
kidding
nominate
me?
Cade Cunningham here.
Oh, this is not fun.
Yeah, I know Danny. Just for those of you that don't know, Danny is a big Yahoo guy. I see it. I understand why. ESPN definitely has some work to do, especially as far as updating rosters and stuff. Like sometimes it takes them a while to put guys that aren't necessarily name brand people. So something to keep an eye on.
For me, it's just more so like it's not as user friendly. That's my biggest pet peeve with ESPN.
Yeah, something that I realize now that I may have screwed myself on. I really really like Malcolm Brogdon, and by getting Miles Turner, I kind of violated my policy of trying not to stick with two players from the same team. Actually did that with fantasy football with the Las Vegas Raiders. It's coming back to bite me a little bit here, but I like Malcolm Brogdon a lot, so I'm going to bid on him, and I'm going to try to make Danny spend more because I know Danny probably thinks this is a good value too. And I guess not. I'll take him at $7 then.
Buddy Hield's shooting percentage last year was really low in my opinion. I don't know if that was an anomaly or if he'll bounce back, but that's really what like brought his value down.
No, absolutely. It's crazy, man. The 3 pointers, though, that's what you're getting him for.
Yeah.
Wow, Miles Turner, 3.4 blocks a game last year. That is just crazy. Oof. We're getting in the slums here. I'm surprised OG Anunoby is still on the board right now. I'm pretty shocked.
Wow,
Porzingis is still on the
Jonathan
board.
Isaac. Jonathan
Jonathan,
Isaac is projected to have 2.5 blocks. That's crazy.
that is pretty crazy. Wow. Let's see.
And something
Let's.
to note, another thing that like I just don't like about Yahoo, or sorry about ESPN, like I Yahoo would let me know like, hey, he doesn't have a timetable available yet. Like that's something that while you're drafting is important information to know about certain players. So again, there's just little things that I have preferences over. But with Jonathan and Isaac, he just went for $6, but we don't know when he's going to be back. So that's
Agreed.
just again something to weigh.
Really good point there. Let's see. Wow, there's some great values left still. This is actually going very well. And this guys this is not a sprint here. This is a marathon. I know it can be tough to kind of let some guys go off the board, but you really just have to remain in a salary cap auction draft. You have to just remain disciplined enough to say, "Hey, I know what I'm willing to spend on this guy, and if it goes over that number, I just have to be okay with letting him go because you know that in the back of your hand, there's still guys like OG Anunoby, who we have projected as a top 50 player this year, projected to go at
John
$6.
Collins, man.
John
Jeremy
Collins.
Grant, like this is
Yeah.
insane.
Porzingis even. I mean, as a Knicks fan, I don't love Porzingis, but you have to recognize the value that Porzingis brings as a big who can also shoot the three. It's just something you
Yeah, you
can't
have to
ignore.
recognize greatness, bro.
Well, I wouldn't say greatness, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Jeremy Grant, another player I really like. Maybe not the best with the stats though. He's more of a points league guy. Really, it was something we brought up on our episode. The fact that he averaged less than 5 rebounds a game last year, that's kind of concerning.
I got him for $5. I believe in the Olympic aspect of it,
Oh
so
boy, this
hopefully he comes
guy's
back a better man.
mocking the gold medal over here. Look at this guy. Let's see. What do I? Yeah, I'm really just at this point. I'm just looking like, how do I want to fill out my bench? What categories do I really want to prioritize from here? This is where it gets a little tricky here. Looking at my
Kemba
rebounds.
Walker.
Wow. Jared Allen, $4, by the way, guys. $4.
Yeah.
Jeez. So something I have to keep an eye on. Miles Turner, while a big man, was not great at rebounds last year. He was at 6.5. KD and Draymond Green both averaged more rebounds than Miles Turner. So that's something that I am cognizant of as I'm, making my next pick here.
Kemba just went for $4 just to let the the fans know at home.
It's good value for Kemba. Like I said, he could sit back to backs again this year. That to me is something worth noting. Now let's see what Danny does as far as his next nomination. Oh, Rocco, boy, Robert Covington. Let's see, guys, what's going on with Rocco? Who wants him?
I feel like the computer just feels the need to bid for the sake of bidding.
Yeah, I think they notice, like, if you nominated somebody, like, hey, he really liked this guy. And it looks like, wow, I'm really surprised. Danny did not put up much of a fight there. He let me have Robert Covington for $3. He is a little bit ahead of me, though, as far as the finances go. He's got $13 more than me.
Which it doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but
Oh, yeah.
in drafts it can make a big difference.
It's a lot. It is a lot. And then we still have Team 12 with $67 left. And I mean, it's puzzling. It's puzzling. And crazy part is they filled out almost their entire roster. They only have 2 roster spots left. So not great roster management, not great cap management there. You don't want to be left with, kind of like Danny iterated earlier, you don't want to be left with that much money, at the end of the draft. OG Anunoby, may there be a bidding war here for the Toronto wing? No, yeah, should have known. The Canadian is going to bid me for him. That's fine. I'm willing to spend more on him. I think this is a guy that fell further than he should, and I'm going to make Danny spend his money to get OG. If not, he's going to be on my bench, and he's going to be a great contributor. So we're going to go back and forth. For those of you watching on the video, you're going to see Danny very frustrated because I'm going to continue to bid on this guy. And I'll take him for $11. I don't feel like that's an overpay at all. And Danny, how do you feel, Danny? How do you feel about that one?
I'm good, man, because like there's other players I can round out my team with. OG was definitely high, but there's other players that, for what OG does, I have my eye out on for. So
Yeah, I get you. I'm putting up John Collins. Let's see how much people want to spend on John Collins. Find it curious. Let's see here. Okay, so I think we're good with the defensive stats with Anunoby and Covington. And just so you guys know, right now I have $10 to spend on my 4 last spots. And Danny's
just went for $5.
The great value. Danny's got 7 spots and he's got $34 to spend. So obviously Danny's got some flexibility here going into the end of the draft. Let's see how this goes. Porzingis is up right now. Let's see if anyone puts in a bid. Yep. Hey, you know what, Danny? You go ahead and take him. That's more than I can offer at this point in time. And I mean, hey, I think KP is a good pickup.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Wow, Darius Garland. Almost forgot about him. Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes.
The moment Danny is the moment that Danny and Team 12 have been waiting for one of these guys to sneak up on you at the end. He's going to get Jaren Jackson Jr., Rashawn Holmes, and Darius Garland. I'm calling it right now. He's also going to try to pick up Isaiah Stewart. Calling it now. Let's see. Garland, $5. Take him. Boucher. Wouldn't surprise me if he puts a bid in on him as well. Let's see. I really can't go with Boucher. Have an OG. Then I have Brogdon and Turner. I'm trying not to double dip here. So I'll let Team 3 have him for $4.
Yo, there's so much value left here. It's just crazy.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. PJ Washington, another guy that people have had their eyes on. Mike Conley, always a reliable player. Let's see. Oh man, Rashawn Holmes almost makes me wish I had left a little bit more money in the tank for this guy.
It's
but I'll
okay.
drive up the price on him for you. Don't worry. I made Danny spend an extra
Okay.
$2 he didn't want to spend. I had no intentions of getting Rashawn Holmes there, guys, just so everybody knows. It's part of the game. Isaiah Stewart. This could be a good one, guys. This could be a sleeper. Alexander Walker, Mikal Bridges is still available. Eric Bledsoe, Gordon Hayward is available. Bogdan Bogdanovic, Brooke Lopez. I mean, there's Clay Thompson is available still. Tremendous value still available. I just didn't want to spend 5 on Isaiah. I'll let Danny have him for 4. That's part of the risk I took with getting OG, but I think OG is going to be, especially with Siakam out at the beginning of the year, I think he's going to be a
Oh
heavy
yeah,
hitter
he's gonna put up numbers, bro.
for sure.
No, I'm never touching Jaren Jackson Jr.
He's one of those guys, man. He's a unicorn, right? It's crazy.
Yep. Uh,
Yeah, I'll let someone have him.
three
I didn't
dollars.
want to give him up for $3. I would like to have been a little higher, but at this point, I got to be wise with my money, just in case someone didn't outbid me for him and I was stuck with him.
So I have 3 players left. How many do you have, Brian?
I have 4 roster spots left. So now this is to the point where you start to get real strategic with what positions and what categories again that you're looking to lock in here.
No,
Let's
Ronald.
Rowan Jr. Oh, I almost did it I almost did it. I almost bid on him. Oh, I would have regretted that one. Hey, RJ Barrett will be an all-star in 2 years, everybody. Just mark it down within 2 years. But this is not the year to bid on him right now, unfortunately. Let's see. Wow, still got KPJ out here, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. There's a lot. Norm Powell, Bogdanovich, Jalen Green is still available. He's been going kind of late in some of these drafts, actually. Harrison Barnes is out there. Keldon Johnson. Oof. Thaddeus Young on the Spurs as well. Oh, well played, Daniel. Well played.
Why you gotta be that way? You sure you want 3 three players from the same team? You were just talking about how that's a bad idea.
Yeah, but I thought you were going to bid more than $1 for DJ, and apparently all these other CPUs. And again, guys, my strategy backfired on me. But at the end of the day, I got a guy who's going to get me assists and steals, and I think I'm going to win with the amount of steals that I have on my players: Covington, OG, TJ McConnell, Draymond Green. Like, I'm good on defense. But now the issue in lies is that I only have $8 left, and I have 3 spots, so I got to be real strategic here. Let's see here. Mike Conley just went for $3, by the way. Let's see.
I feel pretty good about my blocks. I have Robert Williams, Porzingis, Rashawn Holmes, and Stewart. Holy.
Yeah, you're in a good spot there. You're in a good spot. I'm going to go and throw
All
up more.
right. So PJ Washington just went for $3. In case anyone missed that. Next up, Brian Acevedo is nominating. By the way, there's still some great players left.
Yeah. I just threw up Norm Powell. Maybe I'll get him for $1. Nope. Team Davis said no to that. Current offer's $2. Let's see. Guard.
Zubac.
Let's see here. There's wow. Big men are really not a lot of big men left, to be honest, guys. Not a lot of bigs at all.
Wendell Carter Jr.
One of the best bigs left available, honestly. Oof. Still have Jalen Green out there. Marcus Smart is still out there. Dennis Dennis fumbled the bag. Schroeder is still out there. Let's see. Danny's boy Eric Bledsoe is still out there. Wow, Wendell Carter Jr. $1. Ooh, this is brutal. This is really brutal. I really, really, really want Mikal Bridges. Wow, this is going to be a decision to be made right here. Yeah, and of course, as I said that, I gave away my strategy, and Danny is obviously going to invest on him now. But I'm going to put $4 on Mikal Bridges. I'm going to do it. I feel good about that. And if Danny takes him, so be it. But I think he is a very, very good 3-and-D player. And I think defensively, my team is going to be pretty damn good. That leaves me with $4 for 2 players. Oh, man. Eric Bledsoe is now on the board. Jalen Green is up. Eric Bledsoe went for $1.
Team 12 still has so much money left.
Yeah, it's just foolish. Like, you have 2 roster spots and you have $60. Like, none of these guys are worth anywhere near that money. That's why you want to be smart and strategic, but you don't want to sit on it either. Jalen Green just went for $2. Man. Kind of have an idea of who I'm leaning towards here. Have a couple of guys in mind. Thaddeus Young, current bid's $2. Danny's going to take the well-rounded, newly minted San Antonio Spur. Heard there might be some trade rumors
Well,
about Thaddeus Young.
yeah, what drew me to him though is if you see how he can play 3 different positions.
Yeah,
That's that's
that's
really
clutch.
important.
That's pretty clutch. That's something that I actually did not take into consideration enough with my picks. Lamella Ball can only eligible point guard. Zach LaVine only a shooting guard. Draymond Green only a power forward. DeAndre Ayton's only a center. Even Mikal Bridges, I think he should be considered a shooting guard as well, but they only have him as a small forward on ESPN. So that's something to kind of consider there as well. We have Harrison Barnes just went off for $1. Now we have Bogdanovich. And I'm gonna go ahead and put another dollar on there for Bogdanovich. Great shooter. Don't have a ton of great elite shooters on the team, so I think he'll help round out the roster a little bit, and it leaves me still with $2 to spend on my last player. Let's see who Danny decides to nominate. We're heading down the home stretch here, by the way, guys. Nope. Looks like Danny got Marcus Smart for $2. His
And I'm
counterpart in
happy with
Boston,
it.
Dennis Schroeder. Oh yeah, no, it's tremendous value for a defensive player who you know is going to be a starter. I think that's a really good value. And let's see what his counterpart Dennis Schroeder fetches on the market. Looks like $1 is kind of his ceiling right now. Doesn't look like anyone else is going to bid on him. Let's see. I'm between 2 guys for my last pick. I didn't know where to go. 50-50 on these guys. Let's see here. Dennis Schroeder, Reggie Jackson. That was actually a guy I forgot to mention on the last episode because he didn't get drafted. Reggie Jackson is definitely a sleeper, particularly you guys that are in points leagues. He's someone that you guys want to keep an eye on because I think he's going to score a lot of points with Kawhi missing most of the year here. And I'm going to go ahead and nominate Al Horford here.
solid all around center.
Yep, does a little bit of everything. And I do have a backup plan just in case, so I should be good all in all, with no matter what ends up happening with the last roster spot. But definitely wanted to get a big so that way I could help round it out with guys like Turner, who's a little injury prone. It's nice to have some insurance. And I went with Platano Power there, Al Horford, last pick of my draft.
Oh man, your boy. What happened to Kelvin Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I wouldn't have spent as much as I did on OG Anunoby. Probably spent probably $1 or $2 more than I would have liked to, but it's hard to say, man. I felt like I got great values everywhere else, and I think he's going to be a monster. I think $1 is a steal for Kelvin Johnson. I'm telling you guys now. Let's see. We don't have many picks left, honestly. Every most teams at this point are down to pretty much some of their last spots. I'm going to quickly look through the rosters here. It looks like Danny has one spot. Wow, Team One has barely drafted anybody. Wow, this is kind of crazy. So it looks like everyone else is pretty much just going to get a dollar. They're just going to fill out their roster with dollar
Dante
value.
DiVincenzo went for $1.
Wow, another guy. Do we have any word on if DiVincenzo is going to make it for the start of the season or not?
No, I didn't see.
Jeez. Well, man. I mean, it looks like. Hey, I'm happy with my draft, man. I'm actually gonna snap a quick pick here.
Let's see.
Just
Let's
to
see who. I already know who I want with my last pick, but I'm just waiting to see.
hmm Well, you can just tell me. I don't have any more picks anymore. So, what are you thinking? What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm gonna take Gordon Hayward.
That's a great value. The fact that he is still there, it's pretty insane. Like I know he's injury prone again, but come on, man. He was top borderline top 50 player last year before the injury, of
Yeah,
course.
I was between him, Kevin Porter Jr., and Malik Beasley. By the way,
Jeez.
guys, Klay Thompson didn't get drafted. Like, let that sink in. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's another one I would have liked, but again, it's just something you have to take into consideration. If you're going to draft Klay Thompson, you have to know he's not going to play pretty much for the first, I'd say, month, 2 months of the season. So you have to really build a strong roster to be able to support having a guy like that who's probably not going to play. But if you do make the playoffs, he's probably going to be a great value for your team, honestly. Also wanted to while the some of the CPUs here are drafting and they're making their $1 auto drafts. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone who's followed us on social media. We actually passed 100 followers on Instagram today, so that was awesome. Thank you guys all for the support. Danny and I are just a couple of guys that love basketball, and we saw some podcasts and we're like, hey man, this would be a great idea to try it out. And thankfully, we've been able to put a lot of work and a lot of time into it, and we really appreciate all the feedback we've gotten so far and all the listens. And we appreciate you telling your friends and your friends' friends, and it just means a lot. And we're going to just hopefully really excited for the season to start and get everything going here.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. From starting out with just like not really knowing how we wanted to plan it to making plans around preseason to now just actually getting into the whole movement of things. It's been a crazy ride so far, and I'm just really excited to keep it going.
Agreed.
By the way, guys, just wanted to give you guys the update. So DiVincenzo went for $1, Hardaway went for $1, Scotty Barnes went for $1, Sadiq Bey went for $1, Daniel Tice went for went for $1, Joe Ingles went for $1, Miles Bridges just went for $1, and I am going to select Gordon Hayward for $2. And just like that, the draft is done.
Yeah, man. The rest is going to really just be filler positions. Just CPU going through whoever's left and drafting. We can kind of just run through. Well, actually, I can't even run through because it says my roster's full. I think it's giving you the same message, Danny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brian, crazy, crazy. So you have one, two, three, four, five, six players that are just specific to like their position.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. Obviously, you kind of try to take that in consideration when you're drafting. At the end of the day, you still have your waivers. You still have trades that you can make as well. Probably, if I were to move forward with this roster, I would probably try to make a move where I'd get, probably try to get a better value for like a Turner, or Brogdon, or McConnell, just to not have three Pacers on the team. That's not always the ideal move, but I'm happy with guys like Bridges, Bogdanovich, Horford. Uh, Draymond Green, Durant. Those are all guys that are really well-rounded category players. So I'm happy with those, even if some of them are individual position players.
By the way, guys, just to keep going, Brooke Lopez went for a dollar. Mitchell Robinson, who I've kind of forgotten about, just went for a dollar as well. Mitchell Robinson's due for a pretty solid year, and Jordan Clarkson also just went for a dollar.
Yeah, a quick note on Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. I know a lot of people have kind of kept an eye on, which of those centers should I invest in. From what it sounds like, doesn't sound like Mitchell Robinson has not been cleared to play yet, and obviously preseason is starting pretty soon, so that's kind of concerning. Obviously, you'd like to think Mitchell Robinson will eventually be the starting center in New York, but Tibbs really liked what he saw from Nerlens Noel in the playoffs last year. He's a solid blocks guy as well for fantasy, so I actually think Nerlens Noel might even be a better pickup just because even once Mitchell is healthy, they're both probably going to play about 24, 25 minutes each. They'll split the 48. So that's something I think to keep an eye on for those of you guys that are looking for a late round big to draft.
Killian Hayes just went for a dollar. Evan Fournier just went for a dollar. So again, guys, there's so much great value left here at the end of this draft. It's absolutely ridiculous. So again, it's all about budgeting. Brian ended the draft with $1, so he did a great job of just spending his money wisely. I ended the draft with $6. I could have been maybe a little bit more aggressive on a player here or there. I think that this is my personal opinion. It's not written in stone anywhere, but as long as you finish with under $10 of budget left, you spent your money wisely. You spent your money effectively. So again, there's no real rule or anything. To me, $10 is kind of the benchmark.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that's a good place for you to kind of aim to be at. The thing is that it gets hard as the draft winds down of like, okay, where do I spend? But I think it's always good to target a top tier player. Danny and I both targeted. He targeted Steph Curry. I targeted KD. For me, I went after Lamella Ball at 42 because I felt like that was a good value for him. He obviously went back to back with Jimmy Butler and Shea Gilgeous, a little over 30. So it just depends on how the draft goes. You feel people out. You see how much people are spending. Obviously, a lot of the top picks, they were going for really, really high prices. Even Bradley Beal was almost going for $70. So you take that into consideration. You try to use that against them. And then obviously, I think it panned out because it ended up being towards the end of the draft where, we had a lot of money still to spend versus some of the CPU. But I feel good overall about both of our drafts, honestly, man.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what people say between you and I, who had the better draft with the budget. It's
Yeah.
gonna be an interesting take.
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I just checked the poll for the last draft as of before we recorded this episode Wednesday at 8:30. I was actually up 3 votes to two. Not to toot my own horn. There's obviously time until Friday when the next episode comes out, but the goal is to kind of compile all of our rosters and see who had a better overall mock draft experience. So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, yeah, most definitely. By the way, guys, just to quickly wrap this up, some players that we think are going to still perform, but just went for a dollar. Jonas Valanciunas, he just went for a dollar. Joe Harris just went for a dollar. Malik Beasley is about to go for a dollar. So again, players that we know that have value in fantasy, but again, everyone spent their money, so they're going for a dollar.
Absolutely.
Brian,
It was a great talk.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything left for us to say. Lori Markkinen is about to go for a dollar. So yeah, again, just great all around value. But yeah, Brian, I don't know if there's anything left to say. Any input left? Do you want to say anything?
No, man. I think, as you guys can see, versus a 10-team draft, a 12-team draft is just a little deeper. And obviously, being in ESPN, interesting. We wanted to do both so we could see, what are players' values on Yahoo versus ESPN. And I think we saw that it did kind of affect where certain players went. A guy like Gordon Hayward in Yahoo went pretty early versus here, he went for $2. So something to keep an eye on when you're drafting in your leagues, depending on what platform you decide to use. That's obviously going to be really important. But just make sure you guys continue to follow us on social media. Give us your thoughts, give us your feedback. We want to get better. We're really excited for the season to start, and we're going to keep doing mock drafts till the cows come home to help you guys prep for your drafts as much as possible. And if you guys have questions, feel free to DM us. We're available. We're ready to answer any questions of should I draft this guy over this guy. We're here to help.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you guys once again just for all the support, all the love that you've been giving us, all the great feedback that we've been getting from you guys, and just getting to know you guys on a more of a personal basis has been really awesome. And yeah, just keep it up. I know we're gonna keep going strong and just keep trying to give you guys the best content possible. So until next time, guys, take it easy and have a great day.